I haven't been this disturbed in a while. This poor girl was essayed by her father for 12 years, had 3 children with him, all while her grandparents knew. This all happened in West Virginia. Alexandra Thomas was only 9 years old when her father, Kenneth Cook, began essaying her. She gave birth to her first child at 16, her second child at 18, and her third child at 20 years old. This is her dad's Facebook account. It says daddy's baby girls. Disgusting. Alexandra said that at the age of 9, she tried to tell CPS, but her grandmother worked very closely with them and told them that she was lying. She said that her grandfather also knew what was going on, but he wasn't surprised and just didn't care. She said that her father threatened her multiple times that if she said anything again, he could make her disappear. She wasn't allowed to have a phone, friends, and he kept her away from her mother's family so that this secret wouldn't get out. Alexandra posted this on Facebook, and basically she said that her youngest was born with severe health issues and stayed in the hospital for the first week, but since her father was scared that the truth would be exposed, he forced her to keep the baby at home, all while he needed medical attention. This disgusting family secret was finally revealed one day when the youngest child was found malnourished. He was only weighing 6 pounds at the age of 1. That's when they did a genetic testing and found out that Kenneth and Alexandra were related. This monster faces more than 150 charges, and his parents can also be charged because they knew this entire time and they never reported it.
This is Trypophobia Test Extreme Edition. Can you make it through all 5? Let's find out. Start the test. Number 1. How about this? Halfway through. Feeling uncomfortable yet? Last one. If you couldn't make it to the end, then you could have trypophobia, which is the fear of clusters of small holes or patterns. Follow now to see if you can make it through the next extreme phobia test.
If you're scared of snakes, this video will probably be your worst nightmare. This absolute unit of a snake is called the Titanoboa, and they existed over 60 million years ago. These things were slithering around at almost 50 feet long, and let me just put that into perspective for you. That would be like lining up 8 Shaquille O'Neals from head to toe, and we know that dude's massive. Now, God didn't want to make them too overpowered, so he didn't give them any venom, but he did give them the ability to be amazing swimmers and even faster than a racehorse when moving on land. Now, although the Titanoboa doesn't have any venom, it is a constrictor, so when it catches its prey, it crushes the absolute soul out of it. Its jaw then unhinges, allowing its mouth to open wide enough to consume a whole human, alligator, really anything else. You might be thinking, with all this power, how did this beast go extinct? Well, it's not because they skipped leg day. No. You see, when the Earth cooled down, they couldn't maintain their metabolism anymore and went extinct. You can thank God that they're not around today. Make sure you share this video with someone who hates snakes.
Today I'm going to show you one of the scariest things on the internet. When is the last time any of you guys have actually checked your spam folder? Well, today I got really bored and I was checking my emails and I clicked on my spam folder and I came across this. This is a spam email and it is basically threatening me that if I don't send $1,300, they're going to ruin my life. Firstly, I already know you and all of your loved ones very well. Secondly, the occasion for which I'm writing to you is not the happiest one for a friendly greeting. The next part of this email then proceeds to tell me that it has access to my webcam and that it's been monitoring my activity for the last few months and I've been up to some not good things. Apparently, I've been watching a highly controversial video, they recorded it. Then they proceed to tell me that they have access to my entire contact list and they're going to be sending this controversial video they recorded of me to all my friends, colleagues, and family. Here is the bad part. I can go further and put all of these files as well as the recorded fun of you and your hacked contents with hardcore videos. Then they proceed to say, send me $1,300 and I won't send it. Well, that got me really interested because I was like, there's no way people are actually dumb enough to fall for this scam, right? They have made a total of $4,547. So that makes me wonder, what type of videos are these people who are sending the money watching? Look, I'm not telling people to do this, but they've made about $5 grand in like 4 days. Not that bad. But the real question is, what type of videos were these people watching where they felt scared enough to actually send the money? Make sure to like and follow for more videos tomorrow.
Morbid Facts, Part 10. When 13-year-old Ryan White got AIDS from a blood donor in 1984, he was only given 6 months to live. Even though doctors said he posed absolutely zero risk to other students, Ryan was banned from returning to school by a petition signed by 117 parents. An auction was even held to raise funds to keep him out, and a local newspaper that supported him received death threats. The family had no other choice but to leave town when a bullet was shot through the window of their home. Ryan outlived the doctor's diagnosis by 5 years, dying at the age of 19. In 2009, Moscow native Julia Popova was stabbed in the neck by a mugger, but she was in so much shock that she walked home without even realizing that the knife was embedded in her, just millimeters from her spinal cord. She spent over an hour with the blade in her back before finally going to the hospital. The knife was successfully removed via surgery, and Julia made a full recovery. Dutchman Dirk Willems was a religious prisoner who escaped his execution in 1569. When the guard chasing him fell through the ice in a nearby river, Willems turned around to save him. He was then recaptured and burned at the stake. Your lungs have a total surface area of 750 square feet, meaning if they were opened up and laid flat, they would cover the entire size of a tennis court. In 1977, the drummer for Lynyrd Skynyrd, Artemis Pyle, survived the plane crash that killed half the band. He then walked to a nearby house for help, only to be shot by the homeowner. He was apparently startled by the sight of a long-haired bloody man, and fired a warning shot that hit the drummer in the shoulder. Once Pyle shouted that there was a crash, the farmer helped him and he went on to recover.
Just wait for the video at the end where you see this giant thing submerged. It's beautiful. It's not. This is the gigantic crocodile animatronic used for the 1999 movie Lake Placid. Look at the animatronics mechanics that are going to be completely submerged, including most of it. And this is how absolutely massive it is. It was made by Stan Winston and his crew, and they're geniuses. It's great, but this horrifies me. I'm suing. Like, here's it in the water, mostly submerged, with bro up there. I could never, you could not pay me to be a guy in the freaking water like this. No. Like, could you ever get in the water with this thing, with this gigantic crocodile animatronic? No. This is the gigantic rig that is actually the skeleton of the crocodile that's completely submerged. Like, look at this. Look at this. Knowing it's completely submerged in the water, I hate it. Look at this one. What's that underneath him? That's a person that's fixing things underneath it. Let's look at it again. Could you ever do that? They use a giant wench to put it in the water. Like, why? They could have completely used CGI. They should have. I'm scared. This is one of the worst ones for me. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking, and could you ever be in the water with that?
Here are some signs that you won't believe actually exist. Alright, here's the first one. Please do not stand, sit, climb or lean on zoo fences if you fall. Animals scare you and that might make them sick. Thank you. This container transports a disease which has no cure. Why? Danger, if you fall in the pond, you will be boiled. Attention, make sure the door is closed tightly so bears can't get in, thank you. Why would bears be getting in? What the f? Really hoping the same sign is on the entrance of the slide. Oh, surely it isn't. Do not grab Hamish by the horns. I will not grab Hamish by the horns. If elevator does not move, do a small jump, it should move after. Nah, why would it move? What? Danger, do not get on elevator with one of these. If it leaks, you'll die. Why would someone get an elevator with one of these? What?
Behind me is 14-year-old George Stinney Jr., and at the age of 14, he was falsely accused of killing 2 girls. This happened 80 years ago, and this little kid was sentenced to death by the electric chair. They found the bodies of 2 young girls by George's house, so they automatically blamed him, even though they had no evidence whatsoever. On top of the false accusations, he spent 81 days in jail without even seeing his parents, and he was 80 miles away from his hometown. And he also did not get treated well. He didn't even have a lawyer in his presence during the time of questioning, and he was a kid, so he doesn't know better. He also did not receive a fair trial. The trial lasted 2 hours, and then it was handed down in 10 minutes. His parents weren't even allowed in the courtroom, and then they were banned from the city. On the day of his execution, he was carrying a Bible with him, and then they had to prop him up on that same Bible because he was too short for the electric chair. 70 years later, they overturned this conviction, saying that this case didn't make any sense. Apparently, the girls died because blunt force trauma by a beam. George is way too small to lift that beam up, so they were like, there's no possible way. But the damage was done. This was 70 years, way too late. The Green Mile by Stephen King was inspired by this story. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. So let's go. First one. How about this? Feeling uneasy yet? Almost there. Last one. If those images made you feel uneasy, then you may have thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep bodies of water. So let me know if you discovered a new phobia down below.
This film director was found stabbed to death inside of her London home. One thing was missing, it was her diamond-encrusted Rolex, and they think that is the motive for the murder right now. Her name is Jennifer Abbott, but she was known professionally as Sarah Steinberg. Now here's the crazy part, she was found by her niece and neighbors, and when they found her, she had tape over her mouth. Somebody stabbed her, maybe taped her mouth before they stabbed her, and then took her stuff and headed out. On top of this, she was found wrapped in a blanket on her bed. She was last seen walking her corgi on June 10th. Now that same very corgi was found alive. However, it was locked in the bathroom for 3 days, so it's a miracle that thing even survived. The niece was panicking that something was wrong with her aunt when she showed up initially. She got the neighbors, and the neighbor's son ended up breaking the door down. People are saying she also had stomach cancer and recently underwent surgery right before her death, which makes me think personally, somebody must have heard something, maybe she went through surgery and was recovering, and then that made her the perfect victim for their attack. Of course, she's a very successful director. She's going to have expensive things probably laying around her home. Do you guys think there's something fishy behind the scenes? Let me know.
Was this woman saved by her guardian angel? Joan wrote on Catholic.org that when she was 21, she was heading to a club with 2 friends. She said that as she got ready, she started feeling really odd. Then she said that it became clear to her that her and her friend were going to get into a car accident and she would not walk away from it. This was before cell phones, so she had to wait for her friend to tell her that she could not go with her since she had already left her house when Joan had this revelation. When Joan opened the door to tell her friend that she would not be going, she said that she felt a strong hand on each of her shoulders holding her back, even though she was completely alone in the room. Once she told her friend that she could not go with her, she said that the hands and the odd feeling went away. On the way home from the club, her friend got into a car accident and totaled the passenger side of the car where Joan would have been sitting. She was fine, but the passenger side of the car was completely destroyed.
I need to know how you feel about abandoned water parks, because if you're anything like me, you hate this. Look at this in the water. That shouldn't be there. That's supposed to float, not sink. Why is abandoned places, number one, terrifying, but also abandoned amusement parks and water parks so much worse? This image with the graffiti, that's actually beautiful. I don't like this though. This is still water. Icky. We got Cosmo and Wanda, or more recently, Elphaba and Glinda. The pipes in the water of this one in particular sends me over the edge. I have a huge phobia of pipes and water. Call me stupid, make fun of me all you want. This is icky, and I know I'm not the only one. Imagine that you're exploring an abandoned water park late at night, and you decide to go in there, and you get stuck, and there's no one to save you. I don't like that. Why am I scaring myself? Like, that's not safe, dude. That's not, please get down. Please get down. I'm gonna call your mom. Like, why? Why do people do this? I just don't like the fact that nature is taking this place back. It's beautiful. Terrifying, though. So, yeah. How do you feel? Terrifying, right? Or am I dumb yet again?
The Worst Ways That People Have Died, Part 1. In 1981, David Kerwin was driving through Yellowstone's hot springs with his friend Ronald Radcliffe and Ronald's dog Moosey. At some point, they parked their truck for a closer look at one of the beautiful hot springs, but it quickly turned into a nightmare. Moosey the dog suddenly jumped into the scorching hot pool and immediately started yelping in pain. Even though many people warned him not to jump into the near boiling water, David dove straight in and attempted to rescue the suffering dog. He grabbed Moosey and made it close to the edge before letting go and sinking until his friend pulled him back out. Immediately afterwards, David muttered, "That was stupid. How bad am I? That was a stupid thing I did." He was immediately blinded since the hot spring melted his eyeballs, and when someone helped pull his shoe off, his skin came off with it. David sustained third-degree burns to 100% of his body and died the next day after living out his final hours in agonizing pain. Sadly, Moosey the dog also did not survive.
The world's most dangerous conspiracy theories. This picture represents conspiracy theories from the most well-known to the darkest. Some of these theories say once you learn the truth, there's no return. For this series, we're going to be picking some from each category until we reach tier 10, the point of no return. Tier 10 is so scary that some people are saying that I will die before I even reach tier 10. Okay, tier 1. Today we're going to be talking about cryptozoology. Cryptozoology is defined as the search for animals whose existence is disputed. For example, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and the Loch Ness Monster. For this one, I want to talk about the Ningen. The Ningen is based in Japan. It's an aquatic humanoid creature that can be larger than a whale but also mutate into a human. I know what you're thinking, no way this is real. I thought the same thing until I saw this. In 2007, a company published a magazine with Ningens on the cover. The magazines were completely destroyed with no trace, but I found the PDF file of what it looked like. It gets even weirder. Early February 2013, a huge mysterious object washes ashore that makes locals freak out. 3 days later, the website was taken down without a trace. Doing some more research, I found out that people from Japan created a forum page talking about all of the government corruption that was happening. They then began to speak on the Ningen, and somebody says that he was on the research ship when they captured it on camera, and then government officials raided the boat and even supposedly killing some of the people. 3 days later, the forum page was taken down without a trace, but I found it once again, and take a look at one of the videos somebody posted. So what do you think? Is this Ningen just some myth, or is the government hiding something much darker? This was only tier 1. Make sure to follow to see tier 2 because we have a lot more to cover.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one 2-patient patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Today we're going to be talking about some of the absolute worst shark animatronics, most of them underwater. Let's go. This image, I hate it. This guy that's on a dark ride, I don't like this one at all. Here's another version of it when it pops out of the water more. Who did this? Here's another image of the same shark with the track right by it. That is sickening, completely submerged like that. This image completely plagues my nightmares of the Jaws animatronic for the movie. This one's actually super interesting. Her name is Daisy, and she is a shark animatronic that looks super, super realistic. And she is rented out for people to like make movies and stuff of her. But here's an image of her being transported in the water, and she looks kind of goofy. This isn't an animatronic, but this image freaks me out every single time I see it. I'm pretty sure it's CGI, and it is from Deep Blue Sea, the best shark movie ever made. Another Jaws animatronic picture. I hate this one. All the tracks and all the animatronics, some mechanophobia coded. Hate it. This one has braces, and that red eye is freaking me out. Here's one of the Jaws animatronics without face skin if you needed to have nightmares tonight. There you go. These animatronics, oh my god, the fact that they're in the water is so sickening like that. Like, why? Sharks are the scariest because of their completely black eyeballs. Like, they have no, like, whites of their eyes. They're just, like, these black, just creepy, creepy eyes. I don't like them. You would have to pay me at least $500 to get on this ride, this Finding Nemo ride. The fact that Bruce sticks his head out like that. Like, look at him side-eyeing, dude. I don't like looking at this picture at all. And, of course, the Jaws animatronic at the Japanese Universal Studios. The worst. The fact that it is huge and it is in that water like that. Hate it. Which one was the worst for you?
This is what would happen if you stopped sleeping. After the first 24 hours, you would feel great, which is because early on, sleeplessness stimulates a part of your brain that causes you to feel happy and energetic. But not long after this 24-hour mark, you'll start to feel sluggish, be forgetful, and appear drunk to other people. After 2 full days of not sleeping, your body would appear to lose all its energy and feel like it's shutting down. Just because your body can't properly metabolize glucose without sleep. After 3 days, your skin would become pale, your eyes would become red, and you'll start to hallucinate, which means that your worst nightmares are going to appear real right in front of your eyes, kind of like sleep paralysis, but you're awake. And after 2 full weeks, your immune system would be so weak that the common cold would be enough to unalive you. And after 3 full weeks, there's a super high chance that you'll have a heart attack. But let me know, what was the longest you ever went without sleeping?
This married teacher cried as cops arrested her after they found out she had sexually abused a student 45 times. And apparently she had groomed that student since he was 14 all the way up to about age 16. She'll face nearly 60 years in prison if she's convicted and found guilty. Apparently, the teenage student's mother was going through his phone and found disturbing texts between the teacher and her son. She decided to contact the school board and the police to get to the bottom of what's going on. As of today, she has resigned from her teaching job. And then, like I said, there was 45 counts of her and the student engaging in sex and stuff like that. Whether that was in school, before school, at her own home, everything. They found thousands of texts confirming what the boy's mother was saying too. When police confronted her, she claimed that the student was just some sort of stalker that was obsessed with her. And also, the husband had no idea what was going on. He just knew the student as some soccer player at the school. And that's when the text messages got pulled up. As of right now, she's denying any sexual relations with that student. And then they pulled from her notes app and found a memoir of things she was mad about. Apparently, she was mad that the teenage boy was not picking her as the first choice or something like that. She was literally just venting in her notes app about this kid. A 30-year-old grown teacher. Let me know your thoughts.
She was sacrificed by 3 teen boys so that their band could make it big and even inspired the movie Jennifer's Body. Elise Pauler was born on April 26 of 1980 in Arroyo Grande, California. Her parents raised her as a Christian and had a strong connection with their beliefs. On July 22nd of 1995, 15-year-old Elise was reported missing. For about 8 months, no one could find a trace of Elise and her case went cold. The case opened up when 17-year-old Royce Casey admitted to taking the life of Elise with 2 other teenagers. He led police to mummified remains of Elise at a grave that was only a quarter-mile away from her home. The 2 other teens involved were 16-year-old Jacob and 15-year-old Joseph, and the 3 were all arrested and charged. According to Royce, they picked Elise because she was a blonde, blue-eyed virgin, and they were going to sacrifice her so that their metal band would make it big. Once the boys picked Elise as their victim, they stalked her for weeks and to find the best way they could get her away from school and to hang out with them alone. When they successfully lured Elise away from the school, they took her to a grove with the promise of substances. They attacked her from behind, put a belt around her neck, and strangled her. They all took turns stabbing her when she was left with 12 stab wounds. As these boys were attacking and kicking her body, Elise was praying to God for help and calling out for her mom. Elise eventually bled to death with her 12 stab wounds. But the torture didn't stop there. Once she had passed away, the boys essayed her body. Royce was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 21 years, and it's probably because he confessed to the police. Jacob and Joseph were both sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 26 years. In 2021, Royce was up for parole, and he stated that he was a changed person. He felt remorse. He even got an education while he was in prison, but he was denied. Many think that the movie Jennifer's Body is based on this case. In the movie, Jennifer is taken to the woods by these band members. They end up sacrificing her so that their band can make it big. But in the movie, she becomes a vampire and takes the life of guys.
Would you ever visit this abandoned park that has a bunch of massive busts of old presidents? You know, I don't think I would. It used to be a lively place, but it closed in 2010, and some guy bought all of the busts and put it on some abandoned land. And it looks like this now. This is horrifying. I don't like this. This is how big a human is in comparison to all of these. That's just sickening. Can you imagine going there after dark in this abandoned area with all these massive... I couldn't do it. Also, this is Abraham Lincoln. If you know, you know. Like jail. Did someone do this on purpose, or was it a weird coincidence? This is kind of cool with all the plants on it. Still terrifying though. I have megalophobia, which is fear of huge things, and then abandoned places mixed together. No, thank you. I think George Washington's about to square up. Does anyone know which president this is that's missing the jaw, though? This is horrific. But yeah, here's another picture of it. Would you go here? Some of them are missing the top of their heads. They had their wigs snatched. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to go, but also I would be terrified I'd poop.
She found out that her husband was cheating on her, so she cut his private part off. In 2015, Feng Lung from China had found out that her husband was sending emails to another woman. Her husband, Fan, had used her phone to send these emails, but he forgot to log out of his account. Fan was asleep in their bed when this happened, and without thinking twice, Feng grabbed a pair of scissors, walked over to him, and cut his private part off, and it was completely detached from his body. Fan was rushed to the hospital, and doctors were successfully able to reattach it and treat his injuries. Feng was unhappy that the doctors were able to do this, so she snuck into the surgery center and attacked her husband again. She did the same exact thing to Fan, but this time she threw it out the window. There was blood pouring from Fan's groin area, but he still went outside to go look for it. As he was running outside, Feng ran after him to try and attack him again, but that's when he punched her in the face. Hospital staff were able to separate the two, and Fan was treated for his new injuries. Unfortunately for Fan, doctors nor police were able to locate his private part. Fung ended up being arrested and charged with grievous bodily harm.
AI can now officially read your dreams. When you look at anything like this grass field, your brain's neural pathways form a specific pattern, sort of like a heat map. And every possible thing you look at or can even imagine has its own unique pattern. When you dream, your brain behaves much the same way, forming brain frequency patterns based on what you're dreaming about. Well, Asa Raskin from the Center for Humane Technology announced that they've done some tests, and what they discovered is impressive but incredibly alarming. They put a test subject inside an fMRI machine, which can read brain activity, and had them look at an image, in this case an image of a giraffe, and the machine mapped out their brainwave pattern. They then hid the image and fed only the brain map data to an AI image generator, probably a little more advanced than Midjourney. An AI that has never seen the original image of the giraffe, nor had access to an internet database that stored the original image either. It then generated, strictly based on the fMRI brain map data, what it determined that the person was looking at, and this is what it produced. Not exactly the same image, but I don't think you understand what it means that AI can now turn this into that with this level of accuracy. And we're still quite early in this technology, so it's only getting better from here. Then they took it a step further. They showed the test subject in the fMRI machine a video, and on top of generating what the subject is seeing, they also wanted to find out if the AI can read your inner monologue, the words you think to yourself in your own mind that no one else knows about. The test subject watched this video and was told to narrate what was going on in the video inside their own head. Here, let's do it together. You ready? Did you get all that? Now again, given only the subject's brain activity heat map, this is what the AI determined the person was thinking. I see a girl that looks just like me, get hit on the back, and then she is knocked off. Probably a bit different than what you thought, but this is literally AI reading our minds, and all it takes is someone's fMRI brain scan data. Our thoughts and dreams can now be leaked to the world. Give it a few more years and this technology will get near perfect. And sure, fMRI machines may look like this today, big, clunky, and all around you, but that technology is also going to improve. What if we have fMRI Apple Vision Pro goggles 10, 20 years from now? You'd be able to see and read what someone is thinking or even dreaming by just looking at them.